All right, Game 3, Rain v. BuRny. This is the semifinals of the losers bracket. The winner of this has an opportunity to swing back up into the winner's bracket, into the finals for a chance to win the whole tournament. So this answers the question I had. Creep hinders the movement speed of mechanical units. Because I was wondering what that creep impairs movement really was. So let's see who these players decide they want to play as. That's not what I was hoping for. So Rain v. BuRny. Rain again with Nerazim. BuRny going for Raiders. We've seen BuRny very powerful, very, very powerful with mechanical Raiders. Rain, on the other hand, playing a scrappy and good, very good when it comes to Nerazim. Nerazim, I don't know how else to describe them other than they're sort of what many people traditionally say is cheese. Harassment and cheese. That's Nerazim as a race. Nerazim, I think, will struggle to go head-to-head in large numbers with many other races. I think Nerazim is all about hit and move, hit and move, hit and move. You want to move in, take out an expansion, and get out of there. I mean, that's probably early to mid-game. Late game, to be honest, I've never seen a late-game Nerazim match, so that might make a big difference. Okay, so again, Rain going for his gateway before taking an expand. It's pretty normal, gateway, and then either will get his cyber core into fast blink like we saw last match. So last match, we saw Rain do execute very, very well. We saw Rain execute where he did warp gate, cyber, and then got warp pylons, which allowed him to proxy into blink stalker, and then he used those stalkers to draw BuRny's forces into him because he was attacking his rocks and threatening him from the backside of his base, and then he was able to catch him out, blink on top of his forces as they tried to retreat, and was able to take out BuRny in a relatively short game. So both players kind of saying what they're expecting. We're going to see a lot of vultures most likely from BuRny. He is a mech player. He's going to lay down spider mines, lots and lots of tanks. We might see some Goliaths, but I don't expect to see too many, to be honest. Just because I don't know if we're going to see any real air units coming out from Rain, unless he goes for Phoenix. We've seen him do a lot of Phoenix too, so what BuRny does is going to be really dependent, I think, on whether he's very tank-heavy or very Goliath-heavy. We have our first Fanatic coming across the map. Pretty standard. We see this from Covenant and Nerazim players because both the Fanatic and the Devotee are very fast. They're faster than normal Zealots. They're great units to move across the map, and if your opponent doesn't have a wall in, you can get those units in there. They're cheap. If you lose them, it's not really a big deal, especially if you're Covenant, because it allows you to make an Ascendant later. And it just kind of screws with your opponent for a little bit of time. Now, BuRny, though, is walled in. He knows his opponent is Nerazim. Because these players don't have to random in Game 3, it allows your opponents the opportunity to know what race you are as well. You're not randoming. Okay, BuRny coming up, going to repair this supply depot as this Fanatic shoots away at it. And he, rather than trying to stop and even bother killing this Fanatic, that Reaper says, see ya, I got more important things to do. We have a bunker going down from BuRny, possibly expecting more Fanatics to come out. I'm not sure if the bunker is inherently necessary, but, if we see a similar attack from Rain with a fast one-base Blink Stalker push, then, the bunker will help immensely to stop those Stalkers from getting up the ramp. And there's no rocks that can circumvent these bases, as long as there's a Warp Prism or something that can see up the ramp and allow the Blink Stalkers in. So, whoa, that Reaper taking one big hit from that Fanatic. That actually is kind of a big deal. There are combat drugs, though, so this guy will be out of combat soon enough. He's getting his health back. What's going on over here? We got a fast Dark Council with the fast Blink and then multi-Blink. That's what I was talking about. It's a Terrazine upgrade, 50 Terrazine. That's nothing to joke about. And no fast expand from either player. I feel like Rain, traditionally not fast expanding. BuRny probably wanting to, but expecting a fast attack from Rain. These two players probably have played together many times in the past, not to mention the first two games of the series, so I think BuRny probably reacting and not doing a fast base only because he's expecting Rain to do a one-base push of some sort. At least that's what we've seen. We've seen fast Phoenix, we've seen fast Blinkstalker with Warp Pylons. So, in that scenario, Rain generally being the aggressive one. With this bunker, BuRny feeling safe enough to throw down an orbital command. Here comes a Fanatic up this ramp, just kind of harassing this Raider supply depot. It does have a supply call down. If for whatever reason Rain can kill this, that's kind of a big hit. That's 16 supply right there. Here go the Reapers. I missed them because I was watching the other attack. I don't think any workers got killed. No, getting shooed away by 4 Stalkers. And it looks like we have the exact same build coming out from Rain. He certainly has the timings down very well. Warp Pylon just finishing now. Where is the pylon going to go? We've got these Reapers. Is there any chance that they could spot where the pylon goes? It looks like no, this is out of range of the Xel'Naga Tower. And here comes Blink. Will he get multi-Blink, though? There's not enough Terrazine. It looks like BuRny has spent 10 Terrazine on something. And honestly, I have no idea what. Maybe it would have been something in... It would have been something in the tech lab, but I'm really not sure, to be honest. I would like to be more savvy with knowing all the Terrazine upgrades. I just don't know. So lots and lots of factors coming out from BuRny, what we've come to expect. He's waiting to move this orbital command out, possibly to see what Rain is going to do. Neither player is really scouting each other very well. And yep, here comes the Stalker push. Are they going to be able to get up this ramp, though, with the tanks? I think they're going to be a lot less successful this time. Even if they have Blink, though, they could Blink on top of the tanks. But between the bunker and one unsieged tank... Oh, it's sieging up right now. All right, and Rain realizing this probably isn't going to work. If he could Blink right on top of the tanks... BuRny taunting him a little bit. Got some trash talk. Both of these players have been very mannered to each other so far. We haven't seen any assholes in HeptaCraft yet. At least I haven't. We have a Warp Robo that's being proxied over here. This is interesting. I'm not sure if he's doing that just so that it won't be seen. Same with the Dark Shrine. This is in an interesting spot, and it's possible that he's putting it here just in case BuRny scans like here. He would probably expect BuRny to scan like right here, or it is natural, and BuRny won't even be able to get a glimpse of these buildings. So that's kind of an interesting choice, because this Warp Robo, that's 200 minerals, 100 gas, that's just sitting out, just waiting to be destroyed. It's very, very risky. BuRny having pretty good vision, though, on both of the watchtowers, and his opponent does have to walk through these in order to get to him in some fashion, I think, unless they, like, zigzagged, which I don't think anybody would think to do. We have huge oversaturation here, but we do have 3 orbital commands. These 2 can get ready to move out and float, and I think BuRny is really just waiting to see what's happening here. BuRny making his Goliaths, getting ship and vehicle weapons. We do have a Robo Bay coming out, though, for Rain, which means he's going to be able to get those Annihilators. So we're moving into more of a macro-oriented mid-game for this matchup. So we may actually see some later game Nerazim play right here, because obviously we don't have too many Stalkers right here. The first game was Stalker v Stalker. The second game was a Stalker win. So the question is, when Stalkers don't win you the game too early on, what's going to happen? We have a Revelation here, just giving some good vision out for Rain. He wants to see what's up here. I mean, what this could do. I mean, now he knows where the siege tanks are placed. Even with the vision, I don't think he can blink up there. He would just get destroyed by the siege tanks. I think he realizes that a frontal assault won't work. He's gonna leave. Okay, never mind. I was gonna say he might leave his. Yeah, he might leave his Stalkers here just to try to get rid of any stray orbital commands, because he was able to lay his expansion down, and if he can shoo away this orbital command, but down come the tanks, down come the raiders, and I don't know if these Stalkers are going to be able to hold out here. I think he's going to have to get these out of here. He's running away. Whoa! Just barely dodged that tank shot right there, and those tanks are no joke. 32 damage would have been a big hit to all these Stalkers. The splash damage is pretty big. And so Rain pulling out just at the right moment. He knows that the tanks have moved. This might be his opportunity to blink up. He's going to try to do it. There are still some tanks up there. Wow, and look at how fast those get nuked down by those tanks. Tanks very powerful. And you might think they're too powerful. They're overly powerful. They're more powerful than they were. Yeah, 72 damage. 77 damage now with +1. We have multi-blink coming out for Rain. But you might think it's too powerful. But again, the tanks have been modified so that they do overkill things. That makes a bigger difference than you might think. The way that overkill works is basically saying, rather than targeting a stronger unit, because one of them will definitely die, if that makes sense to you. So you have 2 tanks, one tank shoots a Marine, the second tank might not shoot the same Marine because the splash damage of it shooting a different Marine would still kill the first one. That's been removed. That's how they work in StarCraft 2 in this, and how they function in StarCraft 1 is tanks will overkill things. Meaning they will effectively waste their own shots, and also they're more likely to shoot themselves multiple times instead of maybe just once or twice. So as you can see right there, using some of that really interesting Annihilator play, the Annihilators having hardened shields, the original hardened shields I should add as well, the old style hardened shields, where damage is reduced to 10, using those to just drop right on top of the tanks. Is he waiting to pick those up? He's trying to pick those up now. Woo! That's close, and he's got to be careful with those hardened shields as long as those are gone. And BuRny trying to take his 3rd base. Interesting kind of happenstance right here, just because BuRny isn't necessarily confined to his base, but if he moves all of his tanks, then he might end up with Stalkers in his base. Alternatively, Rain has his second base set up. What's the income like? BuRny barely ahead in income. He does have his set. Both players with their second bases set up. BuRny really wants to take his third. And these tanks moving down to secure the third base. The question is, there are still tanks in the main base. And there's not enough stalkers to kind of push the advantage. And here goes what I was saying with that warp robo. Now, unfortunately, I just don't think... Well, I take it back. This amount of Annihilator is actually going to do great against these tanks. The Warp Robo goes down, though. He's going to have to make another one. He already has one coming up, actually. And he's dropping the Annihilators on top of the tanks. That's great. These two back here getting picked up from far away. And all the tanks going down. These Annihilator micro by Rain is really incredible right now. He's destroyed so many tanks. Either getting them to kill themselves or just straight up with the Shadow Cannon or with the Particle Disruptors is very, very good. Down goes the Warp Pylon, so he can no longer proxy. He has a Warp Prism, though, back here. No harassment going down on Rain, so he can just happily keep doing what he's doing. Another Warp Robo coming out. 3 Warp Gates. And he does have a Stargate, only 1 Phoenix, though. We've seen him be very, very savvy with Phoenix in the past. BuRny, though, still going heavy tanks. And he's got the Vultures out to defend him against light units. Really, though, it's these Annihilators. What can Raiders really do that attack quickly that can get through hardened shields? I will tell you, get Marines. BuRny, though, a huge fan of mech play, and if you get enough tanks, hardened shields still go down real fast. They still go down real fast. So the question is, can you get that critical mass to be able to ignore the Annihilator strengths, or do you switch to bio to get Marines that can attack quickly enough to get through those hardened shields? Because the key to getting through hardened shields, again, is units that attack with a low amount of damage but attack fast. Okay, the Annihilator's getting dropped on the second base from BuRny. BuRny trying to get in. Again, 4 Annihilators with the hardened shields. That's hard to deal with. 1 Warp Prism going down, so at best he can get 2 Annihilators out of there. These 2 Annihilators gonna go down, though. That's actually a huge get for BuRny as he was able to wipe those out. But 2 still escaping with their lives. How many workers did he realistically get, though? Only 1. Oh, that hurts. I would have expected to see more go down there. Really good micro by BuRny to get those workers out of there and get his units in to support them as soon as he could. BuRny possibly smelling blood in the water, thinking that Rain was relying very heavily on these harassment techniques, is deciding to go and attack now. The question is, what does Rain have? He has 1 Annihilator and 5 Stalkers with multi-blink. That may seem like they have 10 blinks. That's just 5 Stalkers with 2 blinks apiece. And BuRny gonna go through the debris, it looks like. He actually, Rain has control of this watchtower, so I assume Rain saw this army as it made its way. And BuRny using Siege and the cover of the rocks, actually, to shoot up the hill with the Siege tanks. So Rain, considering what to do, it looks like we have a whole other group from BuRny moving across the map. The supply is not as far apart as I would have expected. At this point, BuRny getting more Goliaths and getting +3. Getting +3. Well, that's one thing we've seen BuRny's very good at, is he gets those +3 attack upgrades for what his focus is very fast. And it looks like 1 Warp Prism with 2 Annihilators goes down. That is such a huge loss for Rain. But the big difference here is now that they're Goliaths, they do not have Terran boosters, but they don't necessarily need them right now. Now that they're Goliaths, that drop micro is not going to work nearly as much. 3 Annihilators at the top of the ramp with this amount of Stalkers. Some of the tanks were unsieged. See, a lot of the tanks are wasting shots on top of those Fanatics. We have the Annihilators trying to get in there. The Stalkers unsure what they want to do, and here come the Annihilators trying to push through here. The Goliaths aren't there to get through the hardened shields, but the last Annihilator about to go down. And Rain doing his best to hold on there. The question is, will he still be able to hold on with the Fanatics? Again, the Fanatics making a huge difference getting in there. The tanks, because they're overkilling, are wasting more shots on them than they need to before they start focusing on both the Stalkers and the Annihilators. So now the Goliaths, I think, are honestly the biggest threat, because those will kill your... Oh, another Warp Prism goes down as it tries to get away with an Annihilator in it. That's tricky. Rain, though, does have some money to play with if he decides to change his tune. I'm not sure what he could make, honestly, against this at this point. This amount of tanks and so many more rallying in. BuRny with a huge supply advantage. This is going to be tricky for Rain if he's going to be able to somehow hold on with this group of stuff. It seems like the Fanatics, maybe if he had Zealot charge, that could make a big difference as he runs into the tanks. Again, the tanks' only weakness, I think, is obviously air units, but if you can get melee units on top of them, those tanks will overkill on them. And there goes that Phoenix, probably just scouting out and checking it out, but we've got the Goliath taking it out. And there's the Terran boosters. No, those are structural boosters. Interesting. No Terran boosters. I'm surprised. And here comes Rain's theoretical last stand. We have nothing else coming out here. Rain, GG's. BuRny moving forward in the losers bracket. moving forward in the loser's bracket. Great game, though. Great series from both of these players. Good back and forths. And I really enjoyed them a lot.